They always got hard questions, Tom.
All the time, man.
And then we
But
got simple solutions.
that's right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning into this podcast. Actually, this is number 99. So next week, we're going to do something big, something exciting. We're going to try to hopefully a bunch of people can come on that have really been integral to our success. If they're not able to come on, Tom and I are going to talk about them. So tune into next week, our 100th episode. Tom, I'm very proud of us, pal.
Yeah, me too, man. I can't believe it's 100 episodes. I remember when we did our first 10, and it was like, wow, we got through that. But we've got 100 episodes.
Yeah, and
It's
just
crazy.
under 2 years, too.
Yeah. And we have several guests already confirmed, and the invites went out today. So we're moving forward, man. It's great. It's a great,
Cool.
so I figured I'd get dressed up for the 99th. I don't know if I'll get dressed up for the 100th.
It was we're doing shirts and skins that day, right? So
Yeah, exactly.
all right. And actually, Claire, who is our guest today, we've asked her to come on next week's meeting. If you're able to make it, we'll see. Because we really have had a wonderful time with you. We think you're an amazing person. You're doing really well throughout our program, but you're also struggling a lot too, which is good. It's job security for us. So thank you for that. Yeah. So what we're going to do, we still continue this on with Q&A, but we're going to take it more intense from here on out. We're going to do more of kind of like mini coaching sessions. So Claire, why don't you tell them who you are, what you do, and then you can jump in with asking Tom and I anything that we can coach you on in your business.
Okay, my name is Claire O'Connor, personal executive and leadership life coach. I coach high-end women, high-achieving women to, achieve themselves or achieve what they can achieve, maximize their potential, and overcome their saboteurs.
All right. So what can we help you with?
Okay, guys. Well, for lots of people in business, there are a lot of them like me. And I think that the question I have today will relate with a lot of people, hopefully will be able to relate to it if they're looking for advice from you guys. And that is that, and I've had this conversation with Tom before, that I'm a recovering addict from the paycheck, but I'm also a recovering addict from structure and routine, which means that I never really had to carve my own daily path. I followed somebody else's system for 20 years when I was working in the education system in Ireland. And it has been such a struggle for me to really adapt a system that makes me highly productive in the short window of time that I have when my kids are at school. Between working in the business, on the business, and my own well-being. While figuring out all those new facets of information that you teach us and putting that into practice as well. So I guess my question is, or where I need guidance on is, if you've got lots of things down, if you're a good coach, if you have got clients, if you're making your way forward on social media, what systems do you advise people who are recovering addicts from structure to, build a system that works for them? Are there any kind of overarching pieces of advice you'd give?
It's a lot in there, but it's very simple, right? It's about structuring your day, getting things done, being accountable to yourself, being your own boss, making sure you get things done, compartmentalizing all the things that you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Tom is really great at this side. Now, you've said you've spoken to him, but I would like to hear Tom's thoughts. And Tom, would you like me to go first or you?
You can go first. Let's see which angle you take on this.
First things first is you are an actual business owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who owns this business?
Me.
Okay, so who sets all the agendas for the business?
Me.
Okay, so what many people forget when they start a business is most people got into this for a few reasons. Number one, because they think they can make more money doing this than they could working for somebody else. Number two is because they just were called to this. They're like, I have a passion. It's kind of my purpose, right? And number three is usually for freedom. Now, that freedom, I watch so many business owners give up in the pursuit of some of the other two things, making the money and living out their purpose. Well, you want to have a harmony amongst all these things. And you have to realize that you get to choose how each and every day is run. There certainly needs to be a structure, but it doesn't have to be the same structure each and every day, because your business is not going to be the same each and every day. Your life is not going to be the same each and every day. Your clients' needs are not going to be the same each and every day. So if we try to stick to, as very small micro business owners, what I mean by that is you're making under $3 million. You have a staff of under 3, or maybe even a solopreneur. When you're a micro business owner, okay, everything changes every single day. And if we try to be rigid, we don't actually accomplish the things that we're here to accomplish. We don't do the sales. We don't do the productivity. We don't do the work that we've been hired to do. We get really, really mad at ourselves. We actually have a lot of guilt. You can fall into either anxiety, depression. All of these things will come from that because you set these expectations that are unrealistic. Now, if you're super disciplined, you can do this. And what that means is not you being disciplined. It's you telling all the people that demand your time how disciplined you are. It's setting boundaries of saying, I am only available to answer emails from 9 a.m. till 9:17 a.m. That's it. And I am only available to work with you at these times. I will get back to you at other times. But guess what? When you're a new business, you have to be kind of flexible to get that new business. So you can't demand that. So you have to go with the flow. Now, there are things that you need to get done, and there are timeframes those things need to get done in. So what I always make people aware of is, okay, we have this project, we have this thing we have to do, and here's the time frame it must get done in. And I'm going to try to really do my best to do it here. But if something comes up, I can still move it to there. But I can't move it past the boundary that I have given it. Now, there are other things that will require you to be at an exact place at an exact time. Okay, you have to either jump on a plane and fly to one of your clients. You have to be on a Zoom meeting and show up. We are here every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. doing this. Okay, Tom literally left his thing early to be here today because that is a boundary he has set. Okay, so we have to really understand that we dictate our schedule. But why did we get in this business? A lot of it's for freedom, right?
For time freedom. Yeah.
Okay, so that's my perspective, and then I could dig a little bit deeper on the exact problems you're having, but I want to hear Tom's angle on this.
So, Claire, let me ask you this question. When you think of structure, what do you think about?
Well, I know I have a specific time frame. And after that, in order for me to relax and get into the zone of being a parent, that needs to happen every day between 8 and 3.
Okay.
I don't mind going back to work at night, but what happens is I lose my boundary at night because I work well at night. And then I get cross with myself because I'm not getting my optimum sleep. And if I don't get sleep, so it's actually a series of bad habits, Tom. And when you're struggling, like as Adam said, to kind of get the business up and going and make sure that you're getting all the things done, like there's the social media, there's the learning the new thing, there's showing up for your clients, there's those follow-up emails. There's so many small itty-bitty things that you can get lost in that noise. And really, I would love optimally to have it done between 8 and 3 every day.
Right. So that is your structure, is what happens between 8 and 3. And you said 3 key things before: work on the business, work on you, and work in the business, right? Those are the 3 elements of your structure that need to take place between 8 and 3. And what you have to use is attention management skills to decide how much attention you're going to give to each one of those buckets inside of that 8 to 3 window. Structures are not just rigid. And I think a lot of people from the corporate world, when we come into a place of being our own boss and we have to lose that employee mindset, we see structure in the corporate world is very rigid. Right? You got to do this between 9 and 5. You got to set these meetings up. You got to meet with these people, do this thing, blah, 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 blah. But not all structures are rigid. Structures can be flexible. When I think of like high-rise buildings in Manhattan, all of the high-rise buildings in Manhattan that are 80 plus stories high, within their structure, there is flexibility. So when there's large wind gusts, the building sways in the wind. You have to decide what type of structure you're going to choose for everything you need to do. And there could be elements of rigidity. There could be elements of flexibility. Your structure between 8 and 3 may need to be very rigid so you could be very focused and get the stuff done on, and for you. Whereas from 3 to 8 p.m., that has to be flexible because of your children's schedule and everything else going on. But you have structure. There is a structure. You may feel like there's a lack of structure, but there's still structure. There's still structure because as long as time is used as a construct, we will always have some type of structure. And that's what time is meant to give us, is some kind of construct so that we can put our lives together and use that to get things done. So I think you have to decide on which type of structure works at different points in the day. And remember, you can have rigid and flexible. Does that help?
It does. And then my next question to that is, I've been on programs before and I've seen different things and I learn something new every day. What are the absolute non-negotiables for a new business owner like me that absolutely must get done every day to ensure that there's prospects in the pipeline all the time?
There's 3 things every business must do, okay? It's prospect, sales, delivery. Those are the three requirements that you have. There is nothing outside of that you're required to do. Nothing, literally nothing. You have to prospect, you have to sell, and you have to deliver what you've sold. That's it. All the other things that people want to do are noise, okay? They think they're going to help them to prospect. They think they're going to help them to sell. They think they're going to help them to deliver, but they're not necessary. They definitely will make it prettier. They'll make it more efficient. They'll make it nicer. They'll make it more attractive. All those things will definitely help, but they're not necessary. So if anything is getting in the way of you prospecting, selling, and delivering, okay, you have to remove it until you get in a flow of prospecting and selling and delivering regularly. And then you can add little bits and pieces on top of that to enhance it, streamline it, make it much bigger, make it more attractive. But if anything is getting in the way of that, you are cannibalizing your business. And that's what most people do, right? It's because prospecting and selling and delivering that work are the hardest things. They're going to look for something else to distract and use up their time, AKA become busy. Why didn't you prospect? I was busy yesterday. Why didn't you sell? I was busy last week. Why didn't you deliver? I was too busy to meet. And it's just like, no. You're just not focusing your time on those things. So you were asking specifically to prospecting, but the prospecting has to lead to selling, and the selling has to lead to, for you, your delivery is coaching. And then we go back. And I really, really recommend for people to do all 3 of those things every day. What some people will do is like, okay, on Mondays I prospect, on Wednesdays I sell, and on Fridays I deliver, or however they structure it. But that doesn't always work out that way. I was with a client today. I showed him my calendar and he's like, oh, so you do prospecting on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays? I'm like, no, next week, that's when I'm doing it. I said, I actually usually do it Monday through Thursday. I'm trying to do it in a different time frame now, and it doesn't seem to be working out. So I'm going to have to either be rigid about that, or I'm going to have to keep doing it in my morning times. And he was surprised. He's like, oh, so you can move that around? I'm like, yeah. I move things around all the time, but I have a time frame that they need to get done in. So when is your time frame for prospecting? Do you have to do it every day? Do you have to do it every 3 days, every week, every month? Like, what is your frequency that is required by your business that is owned by you?
Mm-hmm. I think what you've given us in the group as well is an acceptance of prospecting has no one size doesn't fit all. And so if you're prospecting in certain ways so for me, for example, I'm prospecting through connections all the time into companies. And that has come true for me on a couple of occasions, even today. My hardest part is struggling for my most passionate project, which is my 12-week coaching program. And that's the hardest part. And that's where you thought is about the 5 W's. Even that, once you know your 5 W's, the next part of prospecting that's hard for me, and maybe it will resonate with your audience, is where are they?
Mm-hmm.
Where are my people? And we have this question in the group all the time. As you said, it's not easy. Like it's hard and it takes time. Is there a time frame that you kind of think business owners should really have it down as to where their people are at?
Immediately. You have to know where they're at immediately. Otherwise, because you're going to be spending your time there. And if you're spending your time in the wrong places, okay, then you shouldn't be spending your time there. So what happens is you should immediately know they're here or they're not. Because the moment you know they're not, you need to find another place. And that's what too many people do is they keep spending time in these places where their clients are not, whether that's virtually. Tom and I spent almost a year on Instagram, and our one-on-one clients were not on Instagram. This is before we had a group. But our one-on-one clients at, $30,000 to $80,000 a year were not buying coaching through Instagram. And we were spending all our time there. They're not there. So we made a mistake of spending too much time there. When we then went back into in-person and we set up our super group and we set up our morning meetings on Saturdays, that's when we started to meet our people again, because that's where they were. And then when we moved over to LinkedIn, that's where they were. Okay, so you have to immediately know that they're not here. It's more important. Wisdom is really more about what you don't do. Okay, so I don't spend my time here because that's not where my clients are. Now, the other thing is your clients are actually everywhere, but you will not be able to recognize that unless you consistently show up. Okay, so there's a delicate balance of how much of a chance am I going to give this space to see if my clients are here? I like to do 3 times. This is just me. I give things 3 chances. Right, because the first time I'm adapting, the second time they're getting familiar with me, and the third time I'm like, okay, it's kind of all, we understand that. Okay, so I kind of do 3 times. That's for me, though. You may need to do 30 times. You may need to do 1 time. Everything in business is finding your way to do things. We are coaches, not teachers, right? Teachers teach you you do this, then that, then this, and that. What we do is we coach you. We say, okay, here's a framework, and now you have to kind of adapt it. Now, yes, we are rigid in our 5WH system to use that, but then how often you use that is completely up to you. We don't tell you must do this many times. We give you recommendations on how often we think you should do it and how much time you should be spending doing these things. And as long as you're getting the result, I don't care how much time you're spending. I don't care if it takes you 8 hours to do something that takes me 1 hour, if it takes you 10 minutes to do something that takes me 1 hour, as long as you're getting the result that you set out to get. And it's the same at where are my clients? If you're not getting the result, if you're not seeing that these people are there, then it's time to move on.
I think that's a very important point that Adam is making, going back to the non-negotiables of what every business owner needs to do, right? You set that. You determine that. That's why you did this, right? Why you became a business owner in the first place is so that you can determine what your life and your business looks like. So you have to set the non-negotiables. One of those non-negotiables as a business owner is to generate revenue, right? And that comes by prospecting, sales, and delivery. That's how you generate the revenue. But what are the other non-negotiables? And Claire, you have them. Your non-negotiables is that you have to right now only commit 8 to 3 every day to working in and on the business and on yourself. The rest of the time, you have to be mom. And that is a non-negotiable. So you decide what the non-negotiables are. We can go through all business owners. The non-negotiables are going to change for everybody. You have to decide those. That is your thing. And then everything else that doesn't fit into those things are the things that are negotiable and where you can put that flexible support structure in place. I always think about my non-negotiables needing to be rigid so that I can actually go and do them and sustain them. If they're not rigid to me, they won't be sustained. And that's how I look at it. And non-negotiables, when they are negotiable, they have flexibility because it could be done later. It could be done now. It could be done whenever I need to get it done.
What you just said there, Tom, it can be done later or it can be done now. That is something that I think, and I know this from working with high achievers, we want it done yesterday.
Correct.
And then we get in a tizzy of pushing harder, even to the point of making errors, because this to-do list starts to build up. And when you're learning new things all the time and trying to put them in place, that sense of, I need to get it done today, not tomorrow, is something that needs a very, very strong boundary for someone like me who likes to see progress and who likes to move on.
I agree 100%. And that's that hyperachiever saboteur bring in, right? It's, I want it done yesterday. It should have been done already. But when you allow the time and the space for it and you recognize the process, something usually happens that shows you the reason for why you didn't get it done yesterday. Because something you thought about made it better or did something better. But that's where you have to work on the hyperachiever saboteur to say, you know what? Hold on. There's a reason that this is not getting done right now. It is negotiable and it needs a little bit more thought. It needs a little bit more effort. It needs a little bit more whatever else it needs so that it can be accomplished well. And that's going to depend on how hard you are on yourself, right? We want to get these things done right now, and then we beat ourselves up when they don't get done right now. So,
Actually, yeah.
but flexibility never hurt anybody.
But you said something in there about how you want to get all these, you're learning all these new things and you want to get them done. Well, that is usually the problem is when you're a new business owner, you can't do all these new things. Okay, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You're only one person, right? So high achievers tend to put too much on their plate. That's it, right? They're gluttons. So what happens is imagine your day as a plate. Okay. And you're going to go get dinner and that's your food. And you're going to put, if it doesn't fit on the plate, you can't put that on your plate, right? You can't pile it high because then it's going to get cold and it's going to taste terrible. Right. And then you're going to get to the end and you're like, oh my gosh, I ate too much. You're going to feel sick because you ate too much. And then you can look at the plate and be like, there's so much waste here now. Okay. So what happens is you have to really be protective over what you're putting energy into. This is why I have the sign on my desk right here. Okay. This is why it says do less, but better. Okay. Because there's only a certain capacity that we all have. This is so, and we're in the charge of ourselves as business owners. Okay. So if you're, we call this self-inflicted responsibilities. Excuse me, sir. I have way too much to do today. So you can't pile all these new things to do. The other night, Tom and I have something called a problems list, okay? And the other night, I put a new thing on our problems list. Tom doesn't even know because we don't need to look at it yet. We're not ready to tackle our problems. Now, I have a philosophy that I've done a 180-degree switch on. Everybody's heard more money, more problems, right? And that usually has a negative connotation, like, oh, when I have more money, I'm going to have more problems. The way we look at it is when you have more money, you can take on more problems. And the reason you could take on more problems is you can either buy back your time, hire an employee so you can go spend time with this new problem you want to take on, or you can spend money doing this new problem, or both. So I put things on a problems list. So when we have more money or more time, we can look at that list and say, okay, what can we take on now? And most people put it all on their to-do list and they just get frustrated. Mm-hmm. Okay, because nothing ever gets achieved. They go to bed every night unfulfilled and they have guilt. Can't do that to yourself.
Makes a lot of sense. And it's funny, when you talked about the plate, I think all of the entrepreneurs who are listening to your podcast would be able to resonate with putting the food on your plate. But if there's not enough room, you can't let it spill over. It's all extra. It's all just wasted food. And you can't fit it in your system because it's too much.
Yeah, it just can't be done, right? And is it now, if we go back to the plate, let's say we wanted to be a healthy business owner, right? Well, we would select what's on that plate too. And we would understand, well, what is this food that I'm putting on my plate for? What's the purpose of this food? Is it mouth pleasure or is it fuel? I'm all about ice cream and cake. It's great. But at the end of the day, it's just kind of mouth pleasure. And it's totally fine. Enjoy it. Have a good time. But your body also needs fuel. You need the right kind of things on your plate to be a healthy business. And if you constantly put Twinkies and Ho-Hos on your plate, you're going to have an unhealthy business.
Great analogy, man.
Great analogy. You can use that for life.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, it's really powerful, Adam.
But think about it. Like, they're all the different types of businesses. Like, you think about it. You go to a high-end restaurant. How much food is usually on the plate?
No, not much.
Not much. Usually the main thing is what's on the plate so that you can sit back and enjoy it and have a nice meal. And whether, like I'm saying, for fuel or for pleasure, it's there and it's for you. Or you can go to a restaurant that puts everything on the plate. And those are typically middle to lower end restaurants. They just pile on the food because they're trying to give so much value and they overwhelm you with it. Whereas if you just had that one piece of filet mignon on the plate and you can enjoy it, it was cooked perfect, you could build something really beautiful as a business. And that's the thing. We all want to do everything. Just do that one thing.
Yeah.
One thing at a time, not all things at one time. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people to understand. And you get caught up in, I got to have this structure. I have to have this rigidity. I got to do this thing. I got to go there. I got to take care of this thing. And you drive yourself crazy. Just enjoy the filet mignon.
Christy said, "I'm good. It's making you feel full versus making you feel fulfilled." Nice, Christy.
Oh, Christy, that's beautiful.
I'm going to see this. Speaking of steaks, guys, we talk a lot about steaks. How do you like your steak, Tom?
Medium rare, please. I just had a beautiful medium rare filet mignon.
And what about you, Adam?
What are you going to do tomorrow night? We are hosting a dinner at a very high-end steakhouse tomorrow night. You had steak 2 nights in a row, Tom. How do I like it?
Yeah.
Usually medium rare. It also depends on the cut of steak. So a ribeye, which has more fat, I like it to render down depending on how that restaurant cooks their steaks. I may get it medium. Filet mignon, depending on the steakhouse that I go to, it may be rare. If it's a very good steakhouse and you order medium rare filet mignon, they'll give you rare because they know how to cook it the right way. So when it comes to the things that you're doing in your business or the steak that you're ordering at a restaurant, you also have to know the environment you're in. You have to know the cut of meat. You have to know the way the chef is going to cook that. Are they really trained high enough to cook it the right way? Right? Because you want to be safe, but you also want to enjoy it. Right? So you have to look at the environment of your business and what temperature does your steak need to be cooked for your environment. Again, you have to individualize this to you. If me and Tom both said medium rare steak and you go out and order medium rare steak tomorrow and you hate it and keep doing it, that's not good for you and your business.
Correct.
So you have to find your temperature of your steak.
It's like making the wrong food choice.
All right, now I'm hungry, Tom.
Sorry, man. I just ate dinner.
Well, I like taking this route for the podcast. I think we are definitely going to go this route forward. I hope you all tune in next week for our 100th episode. You'll get to meet some of the most important people to the success of atomic business coaching and the 5WH system and Promenade Lives and the work that we do. So we're really, really pumped up. I hope it goes as well as I imagine it in my head. But even if it doesn't, we'll be surrounded by amazing people. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please check us out, Atomic Business Coaching. You can go on school.com and look up Project 2740 for the time being. Then it will be 5WH.
Yep.
We're in the process of rebranding our program, our system, which will come out in about March. So thanks so much. And we will see all of our members in the private Q&A right now.